Jesus. And before we start the show, calling him out. Dean, there are things called earbuds. Katie brought these up as we saw this message. I'm not even going to steal her thunder. Earbuds, Dean. Earbuds. Okay. And yeah. Oh, you know what? We didn't test out the soundboard tonight.
No, we didn't.
We didn't. Is it working?
It gets me every time.
Okay, good. All right. It's May 1st, 2023. And these are your Fortean Files. So it's been a fun week. Katie and I delved into the Adnan Syed podcast extravaganza. She sent me this podcast, Crime Weekly. They did an 8-part series on the Hae Min Lee, Adnan Syed case. Most of the episodes were like 2 hours.
A couple of them were pushing 3.
Yeah, a couple of them were close to 3. So it was a lot to digest. I took a cue from Katie and watched them on 1.5 speed. So that was cool. Got through them pretty quick. Yeah, and they tend to talk slow too.
Yeah, they do. It's doable.
Farmer Fred Smith joining us tonight. Let her rip. Fuck yeah, Farmer Fred Smith. We are about to let her fucking rip. Thanks for joining us, my good man. Glad you could fucking be with us. Yeah, so we delved into that, and it was a lot. There was a lot there. I know I got kind of overwhelmed at certain points. You and I both agree there's one of the podcast episodes that was totally fucking unneeded. The one about Asia and her alibi for Adnan at the library. Like, they could have thrown that fucking thing right out the window, and
people talk about it all the time.
Yeah, so but we'll get into that later on in the episode. But that is what we delved into this week. I don't know how often we will do any deep dives such as this.
I could give you one every week if you want it.
Katie fucking kind of just was like, here.
I told you it was a lot.
No, listen, this is what you did. You basically told a fat kid that likes cake. Here's a lot of cake.
Yep. Just a lot of cake. It was like Matilda up in here.
Fucking shit ton of cake. Because I love true crime. I mean, you throw true crime at me, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, I used to fall asleep to the fucking Forensic Files, and I watch that chapter every week religiously when he puts out his videos. Great. I check out his stuff. I'm probably pretty sure you've gotten me at least hooked on watching these two, at least checking out their stuff every so often. I don't know if I'll be an avid every week watcher, but
well, they're easier to consume that way. When they do a big 8-part series, it is exhausting to sit down and over the course of 2 or 3 days consume 20 hours.
Right.
of content. It is a
Yeah.
lot. So when you're getting
It's
it
a lot.
pieced out week by week, it's a lot better.
It's a lot. So,
But they're great. I think they're fantastic. I love to
but
dive deep.
I
So
did it. God damn it.
you did. I'm
I,
impressed.
I fucking sat through it all.
Like a champ.
Like a fucking champ. So yeah, we'll get into that. And, as always, the strange news, slim pickings, slim fucking pickings. I enjoy that portion of our show a lot.
Yeah.
It was the basis for my original idea with the Fortean slip. Hey, let's take this stuff and let's try to make light of it. Let's try to have some fun. And kind of expanded on that with doing it a little bit more here, as far as we read more news stories than we do anything else. But it's been a bitch to get them.
Yeah. It's not much out there these days.
No. I was like, what the fuck?
Even the UFO stuff's been pretty meh.
Yeah.
As of late.
There was a video that I saw, and I actually tried to look for it too. Of a UFO that was shown to like Congress or something, and I couldn't find it. I tried to look for it, and I came up with the one that we saw that we looked over last week that you said looked like a boat.
Yeah, the battleship.
Yeah, you said looked like a boat. I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, so I as far as, and I will admit though, some weeks I can find stories. And I can always find stuff. There's always stuff about like old stories of cryptids that we could that are posted on some of these blogs / websites, whatever the fuck it may be. Even some of the reputable, like Fox and CBS will do some weird shit about cryptids every once in a while, but it is getting slim pickings. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's gotten
sometimes
weird.
you really got to reach and be creative to find what we can make fit. Some off sciencey thing, or
yeah,
there's not much out there.
We'll dive right into it from thedailyworld.com. Thanks to fifth graders, Bigfoot protections grow. Last year, a group of Lincoln Elementary fifth graders induced Grays Harbor Community Commissioners to declare a Sasquatch refuge and protection area in the county, presenting that, should the elusive biped exist, the hairy creature is at risk of extinction given the rarity of interactions with humans. This year, they've done it again. On April 11th, about 24 students gathered and sat on the floor of Andrea Andrews' classroom. School and district administrators seated behind them. Before them on a large video screen was Clallam County's primary lawmaking body, its Board of Commissioners. The students watched as commissioners approved a proclamation to honor and protect Sasquatch, one recommended by the class in a letter to commissioners a few weeks earlier. It feels amazing, fifth grader Jonathan Kelly said later. Everyone here was able to actually do something to help the entire county. Clallam's proclamation also acknowledges the county's support of Forks Sasquatch Day, a Bigfoot festival returning for its second year on May 26th to 28th. Before reading the proclamation at the meeting, Clallam County Commissioner Randy Johnson addressed the class. I think all the county commissioners were impressed by your letter, Johnson said. All of us have a chance to make a difference in the legislative process, which we're participating in. That could be at the county level, at the city level, at the school board level, at the PTA level. Whatever it is, your voice can be heard if you put it forward. Getting students involved with civics, a subject many curriculums no longer emphasize, was a primary reason Andrews drummed up the lesson she calls Saving Sasquatch, which Lincoln principal Kent Nixon called a beautiful combination of language arts, science, and civics. Saving old Sasquatch. I thought
It's really cheesy,
I
but
thought you were supposed to mess with Sasquatch. Thought that was the whole idea. Messing with Sasquatch.
uh,
I like those commercials. Give me some
those
more
are
of those.
fun. Yeah.
Speaking of which, there was at one point in time, Katie, a video online of myself being chased through the woods by a fella in a Bigfoot costume.
Oh yeah.
That video no longer exists on the internet.
Why not?
I went and looking for it. I went out looking for it.
I say I feel like I've
Nothing.
heard of this video, but I
I
don't know
may
that
have
I've
showed it.
seen
I
this
may have
video.
showed it to you in the past. I
Yeah.
may have showed it to you in the past, but I went looking for it again, and it's not there. It's
Huh.
gone. It was from when I went to
Use a
Grays
Wayback
Harbor.
Machine.
But it was when I went to Grays Harbor, the exact place where they're trying to protect Sasquatch here in this.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, what a coinky dink.
Yeah. Thought that was kind of funny. Thought that was kind of funny.
That's actually really funny.
My green screen is still fucking acting up.
Around your mic, yeah. It's good everywhere but your mic.
It's fucking being weird. Anyway, I don't give a shit. But yeah, I thought that one was kind of cute. The old kids just giving it the old 1-2.
It's good to see kids excited about Bigfoot. It's cool.
Oh yeah,
I'm all for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Our next story of the evening, Katie. Let me see if I can find something here. God damn it. What do I got? We'll go with this one. From essentiallysports.com, we called the military. Talking to Joe Rogan, Howie Mandel recalls the time he and his wife saw a giant UFO. Unidentified flying objects have been a topic of discussion for decades now. Many people have claimed to have witnessed glimpses of these strange objects. With the advent of technology and the rise of social media, these discussions have only become more widespread lately. And of course, since this topic revolves around science, space, and mystery, it is definitely one of the many recurring topics on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. There is no doubting the fact that Joe Rogan has been a fan of space science and extraterrestrial life study. His podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, has become one of the most popular podcasts in the world. Millions of listeners tune in eagerly to hear his guests talk about a variety of subjects. One of the topics that has been discussed frequently in the show is UFO sightings. In a recent episode of his podcast, Joe Rogan interviewed comedian Howie Mandel. During the interview, Mandel shared his own experience of witnessing a UFO sighting. This story is from the time when Mandel was in his 20s. Since the comedian is 67 years old now, it is evident that this story is almost 3 to 4 decades old. According to Mandel, he and his wife were driving down a county road in Toronto, Canada, when they saw a line of flashing lights in the distance. Initially, he thought it was an accident with a lineup of ambulance or first responders, but as they got closer, they realized that it was a straight line of lights that looked like they were probably a quarter of a mile wide. According to Mandel, the line of lights suddenly launched itself into the sky at an incredible speed. We were driving down a county road. I thought, oh my God, there's a giant accident way up ahead because I saw this line half a mile wide, all of these flashing lights. I thought it was a lineup of ambulances or first responders or whatever. As I got closer and closer, the whole line of lights, quicker than I can fathom, just shot into the sky and disappeared. Mandel was shocked by what he saw. He said that the line of lights was moving at an unbelievable velocity and that it shot into the sky and disappeared quicker than he could fathom. Despite calling the airport and military, they found no explanation for what they had seen. We have never seen anything since. This is way before the internet. We called the airport, we called the military. We did not see anything on the news, but we both saw it. Interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah. I actually listened to that episode.
I thought about it, but I didn't.
Yeah, Howie Mandel's an interesting character.
He
interesting
is.
character. So I definitely wanted to check that one out. But yeah, good old Howie Mandel. What do we get next, Katie? What do we get next? I will save that one. We'll save that one. We'll save that one. We'll go with this one. From Marca.com, that's MARCA.com. Former NASA pilot claims to have made contact with UFOs. Although the great doubt of whether life exists outside the Earth is still something that cannot be corroborated 100%, it is a fact that different versions about what happens in space or in the sky of our planet are always there to cause controversy and speculation, as the story of a former NASA worker has done. John Lear, a former NASA pilot, assured that he had contact with UFOs as well as secret technology related to extraterrestrials, and he had already spoken of his connections with these theories on other occasions about life on other planets. The former pilot has affirmed that there is an extraterrestrial base on the moon, for which many criticized him and called him crazy, while others believe that he talks about subjects that many prefer to ignore. In 1985, I saw technology that you couldn't even imagine. I also saw beings that didn't look human in the same area where these advanced technologies were being tested. I have no doubt in my mind that they are extraterrestrials, the former pilot recounted in an interview with the Jeff Rentz program. Lear is a former CIA and NASA pilot born on December 28, 1942, in Long Beach, California, United States. He is also the son of the famous creator of the Learjet fighter jet, William Lear. During his youth, he became interested in aviation and started as a pilot at the age of 17. Later, he was in the U.S. Air Force and in the Nevada Air National Guard, where he was a test pilot. Lear is known for his theories of extraterrestrial life and that the government is covering up this situation to the people. He claims that the White House is working on advanced technologies such as anti-gravity craft and has made agreements with extraterrestrials. The former NASA pilot has claimed on several occasions that he has had UFO encounters and sightings, one of which allegedly occurred in 1988 when he was flying a Boeing 747 aircraft as a pilot for an airline. Lear claims he and his co-pilot observed a cigar-shaped object flying in the sky at high speed near his plane, which then disappeared. At that moment, he realized that UFOs are real and that the U.S. government knows of their existence and has proof. In that moment, he deduced all of that.
Does the U.S. government have anything to say about these claims?
I don't know. No, it doesn't seem to be. There is life out there, and we're not alone. He has been visited by beings from. We have been visited by beings from other planets for hundreds of thousands of years, he said in an interview with Michael Salla. However, his remarks have been criticized and questioned by the scientific community and some media. I can't imagine.
Huh.
I mean, I'm not saying that the guy didn't see anything. I don't know how seeing a cigar-shaped UFO all of a sudden makes it so that you know that the government is covering this shit up. Like, because I've seen this thing.
It sounds to me like this dude is 80 years old and has spun this story and told it a few too many times.
You think he got his gears mixed up a little bit?
Well, he's just got his lines down, you know? It's really telling a story.
Oh, Jesus. Our next story of the evening from the dailystar.co.uk. If I can fucking talk tonight. Let's try that again, ladies and gentlemen. Now that I fucking fell on my face. From the dailystar.co.uk. Fucking hell.
Jeez. You need me to take this one, Chris.
Holy shit. Suspicious footprints that could be Bigfoot found in snow, dwarfing that of human. Some people seem convinced that the mystery of Bigfoot may have finally been solved after monster footprints were found deep in some snow that dwarf any human foot. Images of the tracks were shared in the Bigfoot Believers Facebook group by Juan Perez. He described them as very suspicious and explained that it was his wife who spotted them. Handily, she made her own footprint next to it to compare the size. Juan wrote, "So my wife sent me a picture of some very suspicious footprints going through 3 yards, and she put her foot imprint next to the big print she found, and she's a size 10 in women's shoes, and this is huge." This story is like, you got a little piece of writing and then a bunch of shit and then some more writing. Oh yeah, it's so lovely.
Annoying.
The wife's foot doesn't even appear to be half the length of the mystery footprint. At the toe end, the mystery footprint is roughly 4 times wider. Although Juan didn't reveal exactly where the images were taken, Bigfoot Believers is an American-based group. Some people in the comment section seemed convinced Juan's wife had stumbled upon some legitimate Bigfoot tracks. One said, "Looks real to me." Another said, "It looks to me like a possible Bigfoot print," and another smaller animal walked over it later. A third said, "You know the answer to what it is. I'm a believer. There simply is so much we don't know, and we may dominate this earth, but we don't own it." "Amazing, and she is brave to be out there," said a fourth. However, not everybody was convinced. One person commented, "I don't think this is a print. Not saying it's been faked, but it really looks like a mess of animal prints in it." Another said, "It looks like a great print, hun, but just seems your wife's footprint has sunk further into the snow than this print. Surely if the creature is that big and has made this print, there would be a deeper indentation. But nice print." And there's pictures, Katie.
I was hoping to get to see it.
Yeah, I figured you'd want to see it. So, share screen. There is your Bigfoot print. There it is. Your Bigfoot. Your big feet. And if we go down here, you can see like there's that. And then here's like see, I don't see it.
I mean, I see it.
You know what I see? I see old prints that melted in the snow.
Yeah, for sure.
And got much bigger.
It's weird that it looks like a Bigfoot, but it's clearly not.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think so.
No. It's weird.
Yeah, that's your Bigfoot print tonight. That's what you get. That's what you get, Katie, and you like it.
I don't dislike it.
Yeah, I do. I'm not a fan. Not a fan of it. All right, let's get to our next story of the evening. This one kind of fits into the first half of the show and the second half of the show, Katie.
Oh, okay.
From lawandcrime.com, former haunted house manager repeatedly sexually assaulted 14-year-old girl at the attraction and in baseball dugout. 26-year-old former haunted house manager in Pennsylvania is facing 36 felony charges for allegedly sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl who worked at the attraction several times in 2021. Kip Lynn Colasar Jr. was taken into custody last week and charged with 12 counts of sexual assault by forcible compulsion, 12 counts of statutory sexual assault. I'm using SA for the R word in a lot of these cases, so we don't get nailed for it. Excuse me. And 12 counts of aggravated indecent exposure, all felonies. Court records reviewed by Law and Crime show. According to a copy of the probable cause affidavit obtained by the Clearfield Progress News, authorities say that Colasar sexually assaulted the juvenile victim, whose name has not been released, at multiple locations in the Clearfield area. One such location was reportedly the Expo 2 building at the Clearfield County Driving Park, where Colasar was the manager of the Max's Revenge haunted attraction in October 2021. The 14-year-old victim worked at the attraction during the fall and summer of 2021, when all of the sexual assaults are alleged to have occurred. Jonestown NBC affiliate WJAC TV reported. I'm not going to continue on with that, but I thought that was kind of fucking. You want to see this, dude?
Sure.
You want to see this piece of shit? This, and he looks exactly the. I want to say exactly the part. Exactly.
Ah. Ah.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Looks the part.
That poor girl.
Yeah. Exactly. That poor girl. So,
it's so awful.
And our last story in this portion of the show tonight. This one is the, of course, the title story. I titled the episode.
Just noticed the title story a few minutes ago.
From the New York Post.com or nypost.com. I own a haunted pub. Watch as this ghost shatters a pint glass. Katie, I'm not even going to read the fucking story. I don't care what this person has to say about their haunted pub. I don't give a sweet shit. But I do want to watch the video.
Me too.
So give me a moment to get through the ad. Because,
yes, of course. There's always an ad.
Lovely fucking ads that have to be at the beginning of every fucking video. And then we will get into said video. Now, I saw this earlier. Oh, I don't want to expand that yet. I want to present, share screen. Boom, share. All right, so here we go, Katie. I'll full screen this thing. Here you go. You tell me what you think.
I think I was looking at the wrong guy. I was looking at the guy popping something in his mouth.
They're going to play it again, and I can back it up. Don't worry. We're going to watch it multiple times.
Okay.
This is in slow motion. See? Boom.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
So we'll go back. This is the beginning.
Huh. That's compelling.
The first thing I looked for was if the glass broke behind them. That was the first thing I looked for. But I mean, that's kind of weird.
That's super weird.
Unless somebody was like hitting a note that tuned into that glass, and that's a rarity. That's a fucking rarity. But that's weird.
That's super fucking weird. And it's not like the glass just broke. There was some sort of like velocity of it going outward. You know what I mean? It's not like the glass just fell apart.
That's why I immediately looked to see if like a hole appeared in the glass behind them or something. Like somebody fired a shot.
I was honestly thinking it had to do with that guy putting something in his mouth. I was thinking, oh, but I don't know. That's super weird. So they're saying it's haunted and it was a ghost?
Yeah, it's a ghost. It's the ghost of the pub. It's the ghost of the pub, Katie.
I don't know that I think that, but I don't know what it is. So I guess I have to go with that.
It almost looks like it was like a firecracker inside the glass.
I know, like there really is like an explosion.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it's
it
weird.
doesn't splatter. If you look at it as a clean puddle, it didn't have like splatter. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's weird.
It
It's
is
a weird one.
interesting.
So,
I can't shit
but
on that one.
yeah, right?
I got nothing.
Yeah, I got no room.
Nope.
So we're gonna take our first break. Well, our only break, I should say. Our break a little early tonight, so we can get into the Adnan Syed, Hae Min Lee case. We will put on the night driving music. Where is that lovely music? Night driving. So, as always, we leave you with the lo-fi sounds, as Katie likes to call them. I had no idea that was the name for this shit. But the lo-fi sounds of night driving. Katie and I would return momentarily to jump into the Adnan Syed Hae Min Lee case. See you in a few. And we are back. Let's just night drive for a little while. I could do this.
I'm telling you, it's nice.
I could do this.
You gotta find the ones with the Simpsons. They're the best.
Yeah. I found I started at one point listening to what was it, synthwave, while I was reading, because I wanted to find stuff without lyrics.
Yeah.
For while I was reading, but then I found that synthwave didn't fit all of the stuff that I would read, so then I started using film scores.
Yeah.
And then I found some other different stuff, but sometimes, believe it or not, like just fucking quiet is what you need when you're reading. For sure. Sometimes some music is great for it. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but having like just the peace and quiet and being able to just get into the book, sometimes that's a little better. So
yeah.
Our main topic, I guess you could say, of the evening, as I was saying at the beginning of the show, Katie dominated my life for the past week with the Hae Min Lee, Adnan Syed Crime Weekly podcast, 8-episode podcast. It went up, it went down, it went over, it went forward, it went backward, it went diagonally. I will admit, when after I watched the documentary that was on HBO,
yeah,
that one, I was like, oh yeah, he's probably fucking not guilty. And I don't feel that way anymore.
That's why I had you watch it.
there's a lot to unpack, and that's why I kind of tried to shuffle through the first part of the show. I spent a lot of time on this weekend. And the beginning of last week, getting into this. There's a lot there. Like I was saying at the beginning of the show, there's one whole episode you could throw out. I'm gonna say right now, if you're gonna watch through the Crime Weekly, Adnan Syed, Hae Min Lee, fucking saga, dump out of the Asia, whatever the fuck her name is,
McLean, episode. I think Asia McLean,
yeah,
something like that.
Any relation to John? Did she say yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker?
I think it's McLean.
Oh.
With an L in there. But maybe not. I don't know.
Did she save everybody at Nakatomi Plaza?
I don't think so.
On Christmas. Yeah, I would definitely dump out of that one.
It's unnecessary for sure.
Yeah, and even Derek. I mean, not spoiler alert to somebody who hasn't seen it, but says, you had me going with this whole Asia thing for that whole episode, and then at the end you're like, but. So it's like, that's like when they do a whole episode in a docu-series where they get you going. Oh, maybe this is the thing that fucking makes him fucking innocent. Blah, blah, blah. And then, bam, they fucking nail you at the fucking very end.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, so that was a fun episode.
But the crazy thing is it is something that if you look into this case, people talk about all the time, and it was a part of the documentary, and she's still she was convincing she was one of the people in the documentary, and she still spoke strongly. So,
and the other thing that they brought up is the fact that these incoming calls are not that they bring up that the incoming calls are noted as not reliable, but everybody else says they're totally reliable.
Right.
They're going to be bouncing off the same fucking towers. It's not
And they
like,
speak loudly.
yeah. So like I said, lot here. Katie knows this case a little better than I do, I think, probably. I don't know.
Yeah,
She's
maybe.
been through this the Crime Weekly podcast twice.
Yeah.
So January 13th. That's the day in question, right?
I think so,
the
yeah.
day that she goes missing.
Yeah.
So this is 1999.
Mm-hmm.
So January 13th, 1999, Hae Min Lee goes to school. She works at a lens crafters, I think.
Yep.
And she's doing that because she wants to go into that field, right?
Yes, she does.
Yeah. She didn't have to work that day, correct?
No, I don't think so.
No, she just had to pick up her cousin after school.
Mm-hmm. She might have had to work after that, but I don't think so.
There's some debate over whether or not during the course of that day, there's two different debates. Whether or not Adnan Syed and Hae Min Lee had been boyfriend and girlfriend, and they had broken up. And Hae had decided to pursue a relationship with this guy that she worked with at Lens Crafters named Don Clindist. And Don was a little older. I think he was, 22?
Yes. And she was 18, but she was a senior still. So
right. And there's people who have said that it's kind of gross, blah, blah, blah. The age difference is not that far for me. So I'm like, all right, whatever. It's not that bad.
I was 18 my entire senior year, and I started dating my boyfriend my junior year, and he was 21 my junior year. So he was 22 when I was 18 in my senior year. So
yeah.
I did way worse than that after that age
right,
gap wise. So it's nothing.
Yeah, and that's not that bad.
No.
But people have made something of it.
Right. Well, and to be fair to that situation, she seemed to be way more into that relationship than he was.
Correct.
I think he was rightfully so a little bit like, whoa, this high school girl's really into me. Ooh.
If you want me to be honest with you, I think he was enjoying getting some fucking pussy.
Sure.
Like that's, if you want my honest opinion, that's what it was. That's,
yeah.
He was not looking for a relationship with her. He wasn't
writing her name in his notebook every night.
In his diary. No, he was not.
No, that was all her. So,
and so she goes to school. There's some debate whether or not Adnan, who was her boyfriend at one time, they had this like tumultuous relationship. Adnan's family's Muslim. She's Asian, but her religion and his religion didn't jive at all.
Well, both of their parents were strict and of the culture that they wanted them to marry somebody within their own culture and not date outside of marriage and all of those things. So
So there was a lot of problems there, and which culminated in they went to the dance together. What was it? The prom.
Yeah, or junior prom or something.
Yeah, and his parents came and ripped him out of there and had a confrontation with Hae. So this all happens. And I guess from everybody's admission, like Adnan like came back, I think.
Supposedly he got on his bike and left home after being brought home from the dance. Some people say he went back to the dance. Somebody else said he came to his house.
Right.
Just like everything else, there's lots of possibilities
Right.
there.
So, but anywho, um, lots of speculation back and forth on stuff with this whole case. Like, there's a lot of what the fuck.
So much.
You know, so much what the fuck. It's not even. It makes after a while you start to get like this mental whiplash of, is it this person? No, is that person? No, is it this person? Is that person? Wait, who the fuck is it?
Right.
Like, and did we let a murderer go free? Like, and that's the other question. So I'm trying to get to, I brought up the timeline that you sent me. So December 1998, Syed and Lee break up. They broke up in December.
Yeah.
Their relationship was kept secret because of both religious and cultural differences. Classmates Syed and Lee dated in 1998 and broke up in December of that year, according to court records. And they were both part of a magnet program, which was like a
Gifted students.
Right. A program for gifted students. Most of the kids in that program were all friendly, I would say. So January 1st, 1999, Lee and Dawn Klindist go on their first date. And then January 13th, 1999, Lee disappears. Now I'm gonna throw one of the theories like right out the window right first, and that's that Dawn killed her. I don't think Dawn killed her. There is a theory that because his mother worked as the manager at Lens Crafters, that she doctored his time card, and so that he could do all of this. Now, that if you go with that, then that means his mother had to have been in on it. He had to have premeditated this whole thing. Like, I just don't fucking buy it.
No.
Not for a minute.
Well, and there's a lot of the other stuff for the other theories that make you automatically look at this one. When you look at facts of the other parts of it, you're like, well, no, like this dude had nothing to do with it.
No, listen, he was dating a younger girl, an 18-year-old girl who was just about out of high school. He was having a good time with her. You know, whether you think that's shady or shitty or whatever you want to think about that, that's what it was. Yeah. You know, was Dawn a piece of shit? Dawn was what he was.
Yeah. There's no other evidence or anything to indicate it was him. So it's a stretch. We can write that one off.
Love my green screen tonight. That fucking thing just will not fucking work.
No, it's really acting up.
Yeah, like what the fuck? So here, see if that works. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, we'll do it this way.
Give it a go.
So yeah, I mean, it's still fucking up. So I don't even give a shit anymore. Fuck this shit. So yeah, I don't think Dawn had anything to do with it. I think Dawn was a guy just trying to date Hae. You know, I think he enjoyed, you know, having a sexual relationship with Hae. I don't know that he enjoyed having a relationship with Hae.
Right.
But I know I think he enjoyed having a sexual relationship with Hae. So I don't think that he had anything to do with it. And we're going to like condense a lot of this stuff down. So if any of you want to deep dive into this, I implore you, go watch this fucking 8-episode extravaganza of Stephanie Harlow and Derek, whatever his fucking name is. I don't know his last name.
Lavasser.
Lavasser.
Yeah,
Who's a former
Big Brother
cop.
guy.
But yeah, it's good. I mean, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
So on January 13th, Lee disappears. It says on here what happened on this particular day depends on who you talk to. As described by Syed in Serial, he goes to his photography and English classes and then calls his friend Jay Wilds, offering to lend him his car during his lunch period. Wilds then drops Syed back off at school, where he has a free period, and then arrives late to his psychology class. Excuse me, it started at 12:50 p.m., but he entered at 1:27 p.m., as his teacher notes. After class, he goes to the Woodland Public Library to check his email. This whole thing is from biography.com, by the way. I don't think I said that. And chats with friend Asia McLean. And this is under debate.
Yeah.
Whether or not this ever happened.
So Adnan does stick to that, though. He uses that claim.
Right. Yeah.
Of course he does.
And there is a security guard who, now he said it anonymously, but he did say that he never saw him there that day. Then he goes to track practice. Wilds picks him up, and the two go to a friend's house. Now, it should be noted here, there is not one person that has come forward to say that he was at track practice.
Nope. Not a soul.
Not one. Now, if everybody is so pro rah Adnan, why did none of his track mates, is that what they're called? Is that what you call your fellow track men? I don't fucking know. Why has no one, including the coach? The only thing that I'm aware of is that the coach said that track practice was from whatever time to whatever time.
Well, and the thing that gets me that makes that even more suspicious is because he was celebrating and practicing Ramadan, which means he was fasting, which means he didn't participate, but he still was supposed to attend and sit out.
Yep.
And to me, granted, I know track is a little different than ballet, but when somebody had to sit out in ballet, you noticed. You'd remember, like, oh yeah, she was sitting off on the side that day. I remember that.
Yeah, most definitely.
Nobody was like, oh yeah, I remember him sitting out on the sideline. Nope, not a soul.
Yep. So, Jay Wilds picks him up. The two go to a friend's house. It's while he's there that Officer Scott Adcock calls Syed, asking if he knew where Lee was. The student told the official that he was supposed to get a ride home from the victim, but he got detained at school and felt that she just got tired of waiting and left, according to the 2019 appeal. Syed then picks up food on his way to meet his dad at the mosque for evening prayers, Serial reported. Meanwhile, Wilde's version of the day changed throughout his interviews and testimony. In his testimony at the second trial, he says that he and Syed drove to Security Square Mall, and he claims that Syed reportedly told him he was going to kill Lee. That afternoon, he says that Syed asked him to pick him up at the Best Buy, where Syed shows him Lee's body in the trunk of her car. They leave the car at a park and ride lot. That night, they bury Lee's body in Leakin Park and leave her car in a residential parking lot. As for Lee's family, all they knew was that she didn't show up to pick up her cousin, which is when they reported her missing. Classmates last saw her leaving school around 2:15 p.m. So, and here's the other problem that I have with this. There are call logs and there's investigations that went into Syed. And he had called Hae Min the night before multiple times.
I think 3 times total.
Yeah.
But over the span of a couple hours.
Right. And in order to give her his new cell phone number, right? Correct?
Yes.
Because he just
didn't have a cell phone before, and now he did, and so he
was. But that's under debate too, because there's a whole idea that Bilal, his mentor and possibly abuser, had given him one prior.
Well, but either way, even if that's true, he still had a new cell phone with a new
Correct.
number.
Correct.
So,
Yes.
and he did call lots of other people besides her too.
And he did call lots of other people besides her.
Mm-hmm.
But this is also somebody that when she called him to tell him that she was having a problem with her car one day, he just showed up to help her out.
Yeah.
Without her. And well, we don't know if she asked him to or not.
Right.
We don't know because we can't ask her. But my problem with a lot of this is that he knows that she's missing. He knows that at this point that she didn't pick up her cousin, which is abnormal for her. He knows that the cops are looking for her. Not a fucking call to her pager from his phone. Not a fucking call. Now, I mean, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I just don't see it happening. In any way, I don't see it happening.
Lots of her other friends called her as soon as they found out she was missing. They paged her and tried to get a hold of her.
Right.
Which, and I mean, that's what you do. Like, oh, she'll answer for me, but suspicious.
Yeah, very suspicious. Very suspicious. So, February 9th, 1999, Lee's body is found in Leakin Park by Alonzo Sellers, known as Mr. S on Serial. Okay. Claimed he was drinking a 22-ounce Budweiser while driving when he made a pit stop. Now, regardless of what you think about Mr. Sellers, I don't think he's guilty of anything besides finding the fucking body.
Yeah.
His alibis check out. I don't think he was involved in any way.
No.
He stopped over to make a pit stop in Leakin Park. Stepped off the road a little ways. From what I gather, it wasn't that far in.
No.
And
it really wasn't in the grand scheme of things.
Over a fallen tree, there was dug this little grave, very shallow, in which was Hae Min Lee. She was in the clothes that she had worn to school that day. I can't remember what her clothes were, to be honest with you.
A shirt, a blouse, a jacket, and a skirt.
Yeah. And the shirt and her bra were pulled up, so her chest was exposed, and I believe the skirt was up.
Mm-hmm.
But she was not sexually assaulted.
That they could tell.
Right, correct.
Doesn't mean she wasn't. I like to throw that in there personally.
Right, no, you're not wrong. So, on February 12th, 1999, anonymous calls informed the police to look into Syed. Baltimore police detective Daryl Massey received 2 anonymous phone calls telling him to look into Lee's ex-boyfriend as possible suspect. And where in here is Jay? It doesn't say where in here Jay is interrogating. What happens with that?
I don't remember how they got to Jay, but I thought they got to Jay before they found her. No, they got to Jay before they found her car, but after they found the body. But why?
Right. So in there,
I don't remember that.
In there somewhere is where they got to Jay. So,
but they arrested Jay for something completely different.
And it was Jen. It was Jen that pointed them to Jay.
You're right. It was Jen.
Because as soon as all of this went down, Jen lawyered up immediately.
Yes. Because she had calls from Adnan's cell phone.
Correct.
Yeah.
So she went to the police with her attorney and told them that she had heard from Jay that Adnan had strangled Hae Min Lee. And that information was correctamundo. Like, not that he had done it, but that's how she had died.
Right.
And they had not released that.
Yeah.
So they wanted to speak to Jay. And they brought Jay in. Now, Jay, in my opinion, is the shadiest motherfucker in this whole thing. Jay's story changed multiple times. He lied all over the fucking place.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that we know for certain is that he's involved. He either was there, present when she was murdered, or he knew someone that was there that murdered her.
Yes. And
one
in
of those
addition
two
to
things
that,
is true. Or he helped the
what-
person.
right. He admitted to helping bury her. So he fully implicates himself
Correct.
at the minimum.
Now, this motherfucker gets a sweet deal. Serves no
Sweetest
time.
deal.
He gets charged, serves no time, and just testifies against Adnan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things, now these two, there's questions about how friendly these two were. Excuse me. Now, Adnan loaned him his car that day that Hae Min Lee went missing.
Which is weird.
Which is very weird. And his phone.
Which is weird.
Which is also weird. You are correct.
His brand new phone in the 90s that not every kid had one.
And Jay Wilds was also his drug dealer. His weed dealer.
Yeah.
So, which back then was your fucking drug dealer. Let's be honest. So, but the question here is that Adnan had 2 free periods. He could have gone with Jay to the mall, come back in plenty of time, but instead he has Jay drop him off back at school early, and he's still late to his fucking psychology class.
Mm-hmm. Very late, 45 minutes late.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck is that?
And no one can account for him during those free periods that he had either.
He can't account for him.
No. He's got nothing to say for it either.
Nothing.
Which tells me he was with Jay. I mean.
Now, Jay also says at certain points during this story that he knew prior to January 13th that Adnan was going to kill Hae Min Lee.
He spins it, but yes.
Yeah. There's all this other bullshit that is attached to this, his lies and his back and forth bullshit, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that the cell phone data only matches up when they want it to. And then when it doesn't, when they don't want it to, when it's where Hae Min Lee's body is, or when it's where the fucking car is, they don't want anything to do with those cell phone pings, but the other pings are fucking completely fine. The phone was working great, perfect then, but when we were pinging over there by her body, no. That one was mistaken. So which is it? But I am more and more of the school that, listen, I don't think there's enough made of Jen in this whole thing.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
I don't think there's enough made of her. She instantly lawyered up. To me, that says either I know something way more, or I'm guilty in some way. And like I told you, people can tell me that Jay and Jen were just best friends, all they fucking want. I don't buy it.
No, they were together all the time too.
They were together all the fucking time. All the fucking time. And young kids, you find me a young kid that has gotten over jealousy.
Which, and I think they were 19 or 20. Those two weren't in high school anymore.
No, correct. Right.
Yeah.
And he was dating Stephanie, who was best friends with Adnan.
And Hae Min.
And she was friends with the Hae Min too?
Stephanie was.
Oh, Stephanie was friends with Hae Min. Yeah.
Not Jen, no.
So, but this whole thing, like, so Adnan was with Hae Min, but Jay had nothing to do with Hae Min. Hae Min didn't like him. So there's a theory that Jay killed Hae Min because she was going to tell Stephanie about Jay and Jen, I think.
Yes, and it's the stupidest theory. I don't buy it. I think it's dumb. If he really felt that weird about it, he would just kill Adnan, or I don't know. Jay doesn't really have the motive all on his own. He really doesn't.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird one.
But it's messy because Jay straight up implicates himself long before Adnan did. And why would he do that if he wasn't actually involved in some way, shape, or form?
Right.
Nobody just like admits to the police, yep, I've got all this guilt knowledge of this murder that you're investigating.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely implicated himself. But here's the thing that bothers me with the whole thing is that he's off scot-free. That dude should have served some time. Something.
Yeah.
Something. You were involved deeply in this whole thing. There were a lot of lies. There were a lot of lies that the cops just let go.
I know.
And they should have hung him on them.
I do see where there is a world where it's possible that Jay really was just an accessory after the fact and was being a bro. Like, I do think that that's possible.
Oh, there's definitely a world where that's possible, yeah.
Which is basically what he's saying. He just said 3 different fucking versions of it, which didn't help him any. But apparently it did because he didn't serve any time. But he does have that scar on his record of accessory to murder after the fact.
Yep.
But no, he didn't serve any time. He's married. He has a family. He's doing great. So.
Yep. Now, the other thing that bothers me, I mean, we haven't gotten to the trial yet, but is that and I can't remember how it's laid out, if Adnan walks by Jay or if Jay walks by Adnan. I think it's Jay walks by Adnan as he's going up to testify or whatever, and Adnan calls him a coward.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be very interested, and I've told you this multiple times now, to ask Adnan, why is Jay a coward?
Mm-hmm. What did you mean by that?
And look me in the fucking eyes when you tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Because
there's different ways he could have meant that.
Because I think that's very, very telling. Very, very telling. And I think it's telling of Adnan's guilt.
Mm-hmm.
Personally.
I agree.
Because everything that I have seen points to Adnan lied. His cell phone records show that he lied. As soon as Jay gets picked up by the police, as soon as Adnan finds out that Jay gets picked up by the police, his cell phone pings in 2 locations, or it pings in the area where Hae Min Lee's body is found and where her car is.
Which hasn't been found yet at that moment.
And it's the only time that his phone pings in that location besides the night that she disappears. That's the only other time that fucking phone pings in that location. His
don't know
phone,
how.
which admittedly is in his possession.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally, after seeing all of this and going over all of this, I think Adnan did it.
I do
I mean,
too.
I think Adnan did it, or he's covering up for somebody that did. And I think a lot of this I'm innocent is it's a culture thing. He doesn't want his parents to know that he's guilty of this.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
His honor if he's saying he's innocent and he didn't do
Maybe I'm wrong. But there's also instances where it looks like his dad lied.
His dad testified on
That he was at the mosque.
Yes, the whole night, never left, but his cell phone clearly
Pings in
at
other locations. So
yeah. There's a lot of evidence that points to guilt, despite what that documentary tells you.
Yeah, so and I try always to go into documentaries with a grain of salt and understand that documentary filmmakers usually have a bias and or a slant.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. This one I definitely got swayed by that documentary, and not to say that I didn't get swayed by this podcast.
Right. Well,
now I will say that they went about it way more fair. I will say they presented the evidence and they went back and forth on a lot of different scenarios. So I definitely appreciated it. I loved getting through all of it. It was tedious. There was a fucking lot there.
Yeah.
But this one's I kind of lost my train of thought there, but this one is fucking deep. It's fucking.
I definitely.
There's so many twists. Like there's so many times when they say, "Oh, well, it could have been this," but then they fucking bring out some other piece of evidence where it says, "Nope, guess what? That didn't happen," or this isn't possible, or no, well, he was there, or he says he was here, so that clears it up. But no, his cell phone says he was there.
It's messy, so messy. And the cops did not do a great job.
No.
With the investigation. There was some stuff that they did do due diligence and look into, but there's other stuff where it's just such a big question mark still, and it makes you feel like there's no way we can ever sort through and find the truth in it. That's the way I feel, because the bag got fumbled so hard.
And one of the people that probably was involved in the murder is off scot-free, Jay Wilds.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably can never charge him with anything or bring him back into the fold.
I don't think so.
Now, they did vacate Adnan's murder conviction at one point, but 3 weeks ago, his charge was reinstated. Now, this was a move. I guess it was like a political move, from what I gather.
Somebody's bid right before the election.
So is it the Lee family?
Hae Min Lee, yeah.
Hae Min Lee's family. So her brother didn't get a chance to be in court when all of this went down. So they they want to make sure that he has the ability to be there for the trial. So they are going to redo that. Now, there is a world in which, I suppose, in which he goes back to prison.
There is. Very much so.
Now, is it doubtful that that's going to happen? Yeah, it's pretty doubtful that's going to happen. I doubt they're going to go back on it. But there is a case to be made for it. I think some other people should join him. I think there's a lot to this. I think he was definitely his mentor there, Bilal, the one that got him the cell phone, which apparently his parents were okay with, but they weren't okay with him having all of these relationships and all of this other bullshit, but they were okay with this. See, this is the other stuff that I find suspect. His parents are okay with some of his bullshit, but not all of his bullshit.
Well, there's a big
It's very
speculation.
selective.
It's a big speculation that this Bilal guy, which was a religious mentor for him, was sexually abusing Adnan, or
Correct.
had before.
And he had been charged with sexually abusing young boys in the past, and with sexually abusing his patients. He was a dentist.
Yeah.
Now, there's also is there like testimony from his wife?
I don't know that it was court testimony, but I think it's part of the investigation.
Part of the investigation where she said that he had said to her that he was going to make Hae Min Lee disappear. And the theory is that she was a problem. She knew about him abusing Adnan, and that now that they weren't boyfriend, girlfriend, that she was a wild card and could possibly out him.
Which is feasible.
Completely feasible.
It's not the way I lean at the moment, but I definitely see where I believe that more than I do the Don theory.
I was shocked when we spoke beforehand, when we spoke last night, and you said to me that you weren't as on board with the Bilal shit as I was.
I'm not. But it's also because
I think it's very possible that he knew about everything beforehand and that he encouraged Adnan.
I think he encouraged it, but I don't think he was actually involved with anything.
Yeah.
Jay was.
Oh, Jay definitely was.
Right. So that's where it's just like, well, and Jay's involvement is messy when you include Bilal, because Jay wasn't a part of that community. He didn't have a religious mentor.
Didn't they know each other though? I want to say they knew each other. Yeah, I want to say they knew each other.
I
want to say that they knew each other. Yeah, I might have to have you go back and rewatch all 8 episodes now, Katie.
For a third fucking time.
I mean, listen, you fucking made me.
No, you need to watch it a second time, and then I'll watch it a third time.
Oh, all right. But yeah, I had thought that there was a connection there between them somehow, because there was a theory that Jay and Bilal did it.
I want them to do a DNA bonanza. You go into that evidence locker and you run DNA on every little bit you got. Because if Bilal shows up on any of it.
This was something that Missy had brought up to me when she had to listen to all of this. She was like, didn't she fight back? Like, isn't there any like DNA under her fingernails or anything? And I never heard of anything like that in the...
I'm sure they took those swabs, but they may not. I don't know what came of them. But the only actual sign of a struggle, which doesn't give us any DNA, was the broken turn signal in her car.
Yeah.
And that shows a struggle. But I don't know. They didn't go into her autopsy a whole lot. She did have a lot of wounds, a lot of bruising beyond being strangled, like on her legs and stuff. She had a ton of bruises on her legs, which to me, if we're talking about a struggle in a car, you're going to have some bruised legs. trying to get up under that dashboard and everything, all the stuff, you're going to be fucking your legs up in a car struggling. So
it's
I don't
awful.
know.
The
Well,
whole
that's
thing's
actually, so what's so heartbreaking to me, especially this past day, now that I finally like stopped consuming that content and I've just kind of been sitting in it.
awful.
The most heartbreaking thing to me is that because of the serial podcast, the documentary, this whole free Adnan movement, this isn't the Hae Min Lee case anymore.
No, it isn't.
This is the Adnan Syed case, and that's sad.
Yeah.
Hae Min Lee lost her life. She has a family of people who love her. That Adnan's walking free, and their daughter's still dead.
Yeah.
And it's just so sad that, like, if you do like talk to somebody who even peripherally pays attention to true crime, and you say Hae Min Lee, they're like, huh? But you say Adnan Syed, and they're like, oh yeah, I've heard of that case. And it's just like, ugh.
Yeah,
it's a knife in the chest. It's really sad.
It is pretty sad. And you know, the more, like I said, the more I look into like the timelines and, you know, the fact that he can't account for his time that day during school and the time that he accounts for after school doesn't line up with his fucking cell phone records. The fact that he got in touch with Jen, and Jen was the very first person to go to the police with an attorney and say, Jay came to me and said that Adnan killed Hae Min Lee. Like, those are the things that make me go, like, in and of itself, that there.
Yeah.
Like, the kid won no fucking points with me. Right there.
Yeah.
Like, he's lied about so much. Like, the cell phone records, like, in my opinion, damn him pretty heavy.
Real heavy.
Like, why, out of all the times that your phone could have pinged in those areas, why were the only times were the night in question when she disappeared and the day after they questioned Jay?
Yeah.
Why? I mean,
Even
give me
still there.
Give me a solid reason that doesn't include seeing that the car's still there and checking on the body.
Which, by the way, Jay led them to her car.
Oh yeah.
They only found that car because Jay said, "Oh yeah, it's over there."
Yeah. So that,
which
like
is
I said,
again him implicating himself.
He totally implicated himself in this whole case.
And if Jay's involved, Adnan's involved. There's no world that Jay did this without Adnan.
Right.
No
what reason?
Didn't happen.
That I don't get
There's
the
no
reasoning
motive
behind him killing Hae Min Lee. I don't.
There isn't any.
I mean, she didn't like him. Okay.
They didn't have to interact. They hung out separately.
And he wasn't with her anymore.
Nope.
Excuse me. So what's the issue?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's
you don't
where
have
when everybody's like, obviously Jay has some guilt, but to me, there's no way Jay has guilt without Adnan having guilt.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, the more and more I saw the evidence of the cell phone pings and him saying that, no, I was here. You know, I'm innocent. Well, fucking dude, you admittedly had your cell phone. Yes, correct? Then you were not there.
Right.
You know, you can't have it both ways. You can't have it that the cell phone's right at this point in time, but it's not right at this point in time. You can't have it both ways.
And this is in the time when cell phones weren't like they are now, and people didn't necessarily know how much information your cell phone could really give the police after the fact. So it's
Right,
not like,
the location data, and
and
it
especially
wasn't
for a
as
dumb kid, he didn't think about that.
and it but it and back then too, Katie, it wasn't as accurate as it is now. Like now, they can
Right.
about pinpoint you with
They could tell
Wi-Fi
where
and
you're walking
everything.
in your house. Yeah.
Yeah, with Wi-Fi and everything, they can pinpoint your almost your exact location,
Hmm.
which is crazy. Back then, it was a close approximation within this pie-shaped area,
Right.
you know? So,
Which is helpful too. I mean, those are still facts. Cold hard facts.
yeah, and I just don't like I'm like you. I don't see a world in which he wasn't involved.
Yeah.
I don't see a world in which Adnan was not in some way involved in her murder. If Bilal's involved, Adnan's involved. Jay's definitely involved in some way, whether it was
Right.
of the act, but if Jay's involved in the murder, Adnan's involved. You know, I don't like. That's the other thing, and I'm curious if the reason why we don't hear of any DNA under our fingernails or anything is because there were two people.
They can still separate that and figure that out.
Right, but I wonder if one of them held her down or held her.
Mm.
You know, grabbed her arms, maybe from behind.
Yeah. That's true.
You know, that was one of my curiosity questions was, were there two people? Because if there were two people, that makes sense as to why there was no real trace evidence on her from her fighting back.
And if Jay was in the back seat, that would make more reason for why his DNA wasn't in the car.
And it also makes sense why that charm bracelet thing was in the back of the car too.
There's so much.
Yeah.
And that's why I just I cringe.
You can go down so many fucking rabbit holes with it.
And to think that now Adnan is out giving speeches in schools about being convicted of a crime he didn't commit, even though looks like he did to me.
Yeah, it looks pretty. Everything looks pretty damning. It's like, I mean, it's like watching OJ on Twitter. Hello, Twitter world.
Right.
Hello, Twitter world.
Or Casey Anthony.
Oh, Casey Anthony's another good one. Another good one.
I hate her so much.
I mean, this is the world that we live in, you know. And I think here's the other thing that I think that happened with Adnan Syed. I think that there is a big push in this country to save people because of the Innocence Project. And I don't want to belittle what the Innocence Project does. I think they do amazing good work. They save people that deserve to be saved. But I think that it has caused people to see innocence where there isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is one of the cases maybe where that's the case. That maybe that happened here. I much like you don't think that Adnan Syed is any danger. I think he's got too many eyes on him.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be a good little boy.
But that's still not the point, and it's still
which is what I said to you.
Yeah.
I said that's not the point. If he did this, he should be in jail.
Yeah. If one of my family members were murdered, I would want that person to never have any freedoms ever again.
Yeah.
Because my loved one doesn't have the ability to do anything, so neither should you.
Yeah, and her life got ended very early, and she had a promising life ahead of her. You know, and that's the thing that you see. Yeah, when you see that young girl, you're like, oh, she was gonna probably go places and do things. You know, she was very intelligent. She had, hopes and aspirations and dreams. She already had her fucking, her goals of where she wanted to go and what she wanted to do. Like, good on you, kid. And that was
way
all
she wrote in her
wiped away.
diary.
All wiped away in a second. Boom, gone. Because fucking, who knows why? Who knows the reasons why?
There's never a good enough reason why. I mean,
but that poor girl, all over. And did I go into this wanting to believe that Adnan Syed was guilty of killing Hae Min Lee? No. I went into this trying to have as much of an open mind as I could. Having already watched that documentary that I think was on HBO Max.
Yeah, it was. It was a while ago. It was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. And that one is very biased towards Adnan.
Very.
Yeah, it's heavily biased.
I got to admit, that's one I didn't necessarily... I don't want to say I didn't fall for it, but I very much, while I was watching it, thinking, there's a bunch of shit here you're not saying. But that doesn't mean I haven't been got before, because I totally have.
Well,
I'm really susceptible to that sort of thing.
It's the Making a Murderer case. That documentary.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in there that was not in there. That was not in the documentary that should have been. Information that may have made people think that he wasn't as innocent as they thought. So
I feel like that was like one of the older ones that really got me, that like I was pissed when I got into the documentary and I'm like, wow, this is cool. And then I started doing my own digging, because that's the type of person I am. I'm like, all right, I want to learn everything there is to know. And I was like, hey, like, y'all done set me up.
That was, I watched through the entirety of the first season, and the second season I couldn't even do it. At that point I was just like, you know what, no.
I had already taken my rose-colored glasses off at that point by the time the second one came out, and I was like, I'm on to you bitches.
It's
this. The staircase is one that got me. It got me
staircase
hard.
Staircase is another one that's
hard.
Now with that one, I never was like on his side.
I was.
And the reason being, and I told you this when we were talking, is his lies. Now, here's my thing. If you have an attorney and you've murdered somebody, or you're being accused of murder, let's say, regardless of whether or not you've done it, and there are some things about your past and or present, in his case, that may seem like you like cock a little more than vagina. And your attorney, whose job it is to defend you, asks you the question whether or not this stuff is true, you fucking tell him the truth.
Right.
So that he can defend you. You don't lie to him to save face in public.
But he'd been lying about that for a long time and saving face for a long time.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to me. That like the minute I'm under suspicion for murder, I go into that fucking closed room with that attorney and I'm like, listen, here's all my fucking dirty laundry.
See, I don't know. I think it would take me some time to get there.
Nope.
But if, God forbid, I somehow brought myself to do the unspeakable, I would find it real hard to be honest with anybody.
No, I would. If my attorney, you have attorney-client privilege.
Yeah, that's true. But it would take me a minute to get there.
If you've got a good attorney, lay it all out.
Yeah.
Lay it all out. You've got that person needs to defend you, and they need to know everything about you.
Right.
So, in that dude's case, in
Yeah.
I don't know what his name was, Michael something.
Yes, Michael.
Can't remember.
I don't got it. I don't know.
The staircase dude.
Kathleen was his wife. I remember that.
Yeah. So with that dude, shit, I just lost my fucking train of thought. What was I saying? Fuck.
He shouldn't have lied. He didn't help himself any.
Yeah, he fucking. So he should have just fucking come clean.
Yes.
If he had
it was
just
something that didn't even like convict him of the murder.
Right. Regardless, it didn't make him guilty. He could have just said to his attorney, "Hey, I like to meet young guys for sex." And in the documentary, he says, "Hey, my wife was okay with it, blah, 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 blah." But that's the thing. So that's to get back to Adnan. That's why I instantly, when I started going over this podcast and they started laying stuff out, the minute I started seeing his lies, I was like, dude, why aren't you just why are there so many fucking inconsistencies? Now I don't know what he said to his attorney. That stuff is privileged information. In the staircase documentary, we could literally see his attorney ask him the fucking question.
We heard him talk the whole time. So that was a little different.
But, and like I said to you too, I think if he had wanted to privately, he could have said, "Hey, turn the cameras off," or said to the attorney, "Hey, can we talk tomorrow when there's no cameras somewhere so I can," if he had wanted to privately talk about that, he absolutely could have.
He had that right. Well, I'm pretty sure he did do an interview with the police before he even had an attorney. That interview was pretty stupid, and he said some pretty stupid, vague things that made him look dumb anyways.
Yeah. Let me tell you, people, when they bring you into that fucking police station, not police station, into the jail, shut your fucking mouth. Shut your fucking mouth.
But see, and stuff like that, when you say that, that stuff like that makes me not judge Jen so hard for going and getting a lawyer.
Yeah,
she heard through the grapevine one of her friends murdered somebody. I'd go get a lawyer too.
Right, but it's also the information she knew.
Oh, for sure.
And how much she was with them that night. That's the other thing that bothers me about it.
For sure.
And there's more to my reasoning for thinking that she has guilt than just she went and got attorneys.
Oh, for sure. Because if it was really that innocent, she may have just gone to the police that night or something and been like, "Yo, I just had a roller coaster of an evening. These two friends of mine, pretty sure they just committed murder. Here's what I know."
Yep.
But she didn't do that.
But I think there was more to it than that.
Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure the whole reason she went and got a lawyer was because the police did reach out to her. Because they found her phone number in Adnan's cell phone. So they reached out to her. And then before they could do anything formal, she got a lawyer.
Yep.
Which, I mean, good on her. It paid off.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because she didn't do it. She didn't serve any time.
No.
Or get charged with anything, I don't think.
Nope.
I don't think she was charged with anything.
Mm-mm.
So.
But I don't think she testified either. So.
Yeah. It's a very, very strange case. Like I said, Alonzo, people wanted to fucking throw it on Alonzo Sellers, this friggin' maintenance guy who likes to show his cock.
I was just going to say, well, he didn't have a great record.
Mr. fucking streaker himself, Alonzo.
He had a lot of nudity problems.
Yeah.
Which is ironic, but.
But
I don't think he's guilty.
And it's an interesting cast of characters when you look at it. Like I said, I don't think Dawn had anything to do with it. Dawn Clindist, her last boyfriend. I think he just happened to be a dude that worked with her.
Yep.
And decided to have a relationship with her. Albeit on his end, I think it was only sexual. On her end, I think she thought it was more than that.
Yeah, which is typical.
That's typical of a young girl like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that that was any reason for him to murder her. And I don't think that he had his mother doctor his fucking time cards to be able to pull that off. I do think that the fact that Adnan cannot account for his fucking time throughout that day is and will always be suspect. I think the
Yeah.
fact that his best friend, although it goes from his best friend to he was just my drug dealer, but you
Right.
hung out with him all the fucking time and you let him borrow your car and your fucking phone. It, I that dude was involved. So was Adnan.
Mm-hmm.
That's all there is to it.
Yeah,
Like,
it really is that simple.
to me, it's that simple at this point. I don't see a world in which Jay did this on his own.
Mm-mm.
Or did this
Well,
with somebody else.
and even if you read through Adnan's transcripts of when he was interviewed by police, because there's not audio for it, but there's transcripts, and anybody who's being accused of murder, and you know that's what you're in there being interrogated for, you're not that loosey-goosey with your memory. You know you didn't do this, and I'm going to make sure I tell you every second of my fucking day, so you make sure you know I didn't do this.
Yeah.
That's not what he did. He was like, well, I'm not so good at remembering things that help me out, but I remember the things that don't help me out. Like, dude, get the fuck out of here. We're talking about murder. We're not talking about the cheeseburger you had for fucking lunch.
We're talking about the girl that you spent a shit ton of time with and were supposedly best friends with, called the night before, but the minute we tell you that she's missing, you have no fucking interest in finding out where she is.
Yep.
None.
And no interest in like trying to figure out your timeline, and maybe like, oh, I'm not sure, but let me think about it. Let me put some things together here. No, he's just got no fucking idea. Can't help you out, sir.
And
like,
I'm sorry. I mean, that seems punkish to me. That seems like a little punk ass motherfucker at that age. I've met many of them. You know, the fact that his culture and ethnicity gets brought into it. He's a punk ass kid.
Yeah, he was just like any kid.
Punk ass fucking kid.
And that mixed in with the fact that in that interrogation, he didn't know that Jay had already rolled over on him. He didn't know that. So he was still trying to play it cool and keep things open. And that just made him look so much more guilty because of what the cops already knew.
And I'm curious if that's why he called Jay a coward. I'm curious.
I feel like there's 3 different reasons Adnan could have called him a coward. But all 3, to me, still implicate guilt. It's just a different degree of guilt of whichever way you look at it. Like, oh, you're a coward because you didn't stand up and take your full responsibility. Or, oh, you're a coward because you didn't cover for me the way you said you would. Or you're a coward and you made the whole thing up, I guess. Be the other third. But still, either way, it's not a good look. Dude shouldn't have said that in court on public record. Idiot move.
Yeah. And it's things like that along with the facts. Where were you?
Yeah.
You know, I was here. Well, your cell phone says that you were there. Well, I was here. Well, Mr. Syed. Hate to break it to you, but you were there.
But despite all those facts, he's a free man giving speeches about being innocent.
I don't get it. And after going through all, like I said, after going through all of it, it was it was a lot to process, being that I already had that documentary in my head.
Right. I remember
You
when I
know,
said I thought he was guilty, you were like, "What?"
yeah. I was like, what?
Really?
Wait, seriously? But yeah, I definitely think there was some bullshit with the police. I think that the police fucked up a lot. I think that the case against him was fucking not airtight. It was not like it should have been. He more than likely he should have gotten off, to be
Right.
honest with you.
Yeah, based on how the court case went.
Excuse me.
Yes. But
But
that doesn't make him innocent.
right. And that's the whole point. It doesn't make him innocent. The fact that the cops fucked up and that he more than likely should have gotten off on this does not rectify the fact that he more than likely is responsible for this crime.
I
And
feel
it's
like
a
in
sad,
cases,
sad crime.
yeah, cases like this where so many years later everything is so muddled that you can't find the truth. And okay, let's say Adnan does go free. They gonna find somebody else? No. They gonna look for somebody else? No. So I feel like in scenarios like this where it's clear that the cops at least played a role in the case being this big fucking question mark that it is, the family should have some sort of legal way besides bullshit civil court to like get some sort of retribution for this, of like acknowledgement of like, hey, we fucked up and we didn't do your daughter justice, so here's a couple $1 million or something, you know, like it's just so sad. It's so sad. I couldn't imagine that
The
being my
ball was
family
dropped
member.
so many times.
Yeah.
Where are her pager records?
Yeah.
Her pager's missing. It's never been found.
Nope.
Never been found. Where are her pager records?
And so if this case is going to be where
And they
Adnan
never
walks
looked for him.
free, Adnan walks free, we're never going to get any answers. The family should have some sort of consolation prize, for lack of a better term. I mean, it's just so sad.
No.
I mean, could you imagine that being you in that situation of you're watching Adnan wave at the camera as a free man? Oh my God. And I'm going to go to high schools and I'm going to talk to teenagers
If my daughter
about
was dead,
being innocent.
I'd be pissed. I mean, that's me, but
it's dark.
It's a harsh situation to put yourself in those shoes, to look at somebody who is sitting in those shoes, and I don't know what the answer is to this type of stuff. I know that it was a humongous miscarriage of justice. Huge.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of how you want to look at it. Regardless.
I mean,
like
he did serve 20 years in jail, so.
I mean,
20.
hey, maybe he's a rehabilitated man. You know, and again, I think Derek brought this up on that podcast, so I don't want to steal his thunder by, reiterating it. But isn't that what our system is supposed to be about? Rehabilitating our criminals and sending them back out into the world. But I'm going to be honest with you. I think we've lost sight of that in this country. We don't want to rehabilitate our criminals. We send them into these pits of hell, really, where it's every man for himself. I've talked to former guards about their experiences, and they feel just as trapped in that system as the people who live in the jails.
Right.
It's a shitty system.
I agree with all of that right up to the line of murder, Chris. I'm sorry, but if you snuff the life of another human being maliciously, I'm not
Yeah,
talking
no, I,
about
I I
a
get it. I
car
listen.
accident.
I get those sentiments. But again, I'm just trying to go back to what he said on the podcast of, isn't that what this is supposed to be about? Us rehabilitating these people. They've served their time, because hey, there have been people who have been convicted of murder and they've only been given a 20-year sentence,
I
or they
don't
get
necessarily agree with that.
or they get however many years and they get out in 20 because they get paroled.
And I
You
don't
know,
agree with that.
so and I'm getting that from you, Katie. I mean, I was a little on the fence a few seconds ago when you only said it like 4 or 5
Now we're
times,
sure.
but now I'm pretty sure I got it. But
I mean, there's
I
so
just
many crimes that's true for. Yes.
yeah. And but so is, like we were saying before, like we were saying earlier, is he a danger to society? Do I think so?
No.
No. Do you think so? No.
No.
But regardless of that fact, should he serve the time that he was supposed to serve if he is in fact guilty of the crime? Yes. But here's the thing, we're never gonna know.
Nope.
We're never gonna fucking know.
It's never gonna come to light. It's too messy.
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad that how old was she? 19? 18?
18.
It's sad that an 18-year-old girl with that much fucking promise just gone. So I think that's what people should remember about this, not this dude that people want to be innocent.
Yeah.
Because
Hae Min.
let me break it to you. The dude's already free.
Mm-hmm.
So he got his heyday.
I'm rooting for him going back, but we'll see.
I don't think there's much chance of it. I think the metrics of it don't look good. And
the judge has the freedom though to do that. It is an option on the judge's table.
Well,
not a likely one, but it is a feasible. The chess pieces are possible within the legal system for him to go back.
I'd like to see actual justice, but we won't.
Mm-mm.
And to see actual justice, more than just Adnan has to go down.
I think really for everybody to feel that we got actual justice, we would need to have a second trial. Yeah. Well, technically a third trial, but
yeah.
And I just don't see that happening. I don't see that happening.
No, I agree with you completely. I don't think so. And I think
unless we get some wild DNA.
I think that this is going to be one of those cases where it's always going to be a question in the back of everybody's mind. What's the real story? What's the real story?
Put it up there with JonBenet, I guess, huh?
Oh, God. That's a good one. We should go into that one sometime.
I'm telling you, when people ask me, hey, when you go to heaven, what would be on your list of questions you'd ask God?
What happened?
JonBenet is at the top of that fucking list. I want all the details. Tell them all to me now.
Right. That's a fucking mystery.
I gotta know. I gotta know. Have to.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. That'd be a good one.
It's number one.
I could go for that. All right. I guess that's it for tonight. Thanks to everybody who listened live. Fuck Dean Cooper for bailing out first right out of the gate. If you like this show, please subscribe to the podcast. It is on Spotify. You can subscribe to it there. It's on Stitcher, Amazon Music. You can listen to it on there. You can watch the video on Spotify. I believe everywhere else it's just an audio only. But on Spotify, you can watch the video of the show, which because a lot of times we show videos, I show pictures of stuff in the stories that we're talking about or whatever. So check that out. The new Facebook page is up. Facebook.com/the Fortean Files. That's TheForteanFiles. Go there, like the page, share the page. We're almost at like 200 likes / followers on the page in a few days. Excuse me. I said fuck it. You know, the Fortean Slip page I built, it's huge, but Facebook has stunted it so much that with less than 200 people on the Fortean Files page, I get more engagement on that page than I do on the Fortean Slip page. And that is sad.
It is.
So I guess I will try to be a good boy and behave myself on the Fortean Files and keep my page, without somehow breaking rules that they all of a sudden change 3 years later and then go back and come at me for a post that I posted because I was following guidelines back then.
Those bitches.
So, yeah, that's just the fucking way Facebook is. And those of you who haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@the Fortean Files. That's the @ symbol, TheForteanFiles. We will be back next Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to tickle your fancy with some more strange news and real horrific shit like what we just talked about. Yeah. I've said this many times, like I'm fascinated by true crime and horrified by it at the same time. We, for many years on the Fortean Slip and even here, now we've looked at stories of, Bigfoot, Loch Ness monsters, and the monsters that are out there are people.
Mm-hmm.
They're fucking people.
Yep.
And they look just like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
They don't look horrific. There's not anything to make them stand out. They're just normal, everyday people. And that's the one little lesson I've learned from all of this.
Mm-hmm. So
be careful out there. Be good to one another. Look out for your fucking friends, your neighbors. It's important. Believe it or not.
Yeah, very.
So until next week on Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See ya.